One Nation, One Ration Card scheme. So this was in news right from the pandemic time, because the focus of the government of India was so much on this scheme, because it was extending ration also for various people under this scheme. So this scheme is very much important for us. This is One Nation, One Ration Card scheme. So what is the major benefit of this scheme? What is the objective of this scheme? Ration card holders can buy ration from any of the ration shops now throughout the country, right? For that objective, this scheme was brought, so that ration card holders can buy rations from any PDS shop, any public distribution system shop. The ration card holders can buy the food grains, right? And the second feature is ration cards will be Aadhaar linked. Aadhaar linked ration cards will be there, right? That is the second thing. And the third thing is interstate and intra-state portability will be there. Portability means how easily one can access different ration shops. Not from the ration shop where he is registered, but even from a ration shop which is out of his state, right, which is in different state or which is in different district, he should be able to access that also. So that is the philosophy behind this scheme, so that a migrant worker who is from a village can also access a ration shop which is there in cities, right? This is the basic philosophy behind this One Nation, One Ration Card scheme. Interstate and intra-state portability, right? This is important because the options can be confusing us by saying this scheme is for interstate portability only. That's not the case. Even for intra-state, between the districts and also between the states, right? So this much portability is there. And how are the beneficiaries identified? The beneficiaries of this scheme are identified by biometric authentication. Biometric authentication on e-point of sale machines, right? Biometric authentication by e-point, electronic point of sale machines. By this mechanism, beneficiaries are identified under this scheme, and these will be Aadhaar linked ration cards, right? That also we have to know. And another feature under this scheme is a migrant worker who is in village can access a ration shop in another place or another district or another state. However, he can take only 50% of the quota, 50% of the ration quota only, right? So that his family members who are there in his own village, they also can access ration. So only 50% limit is there. So this feature is there so that migrant worker will be taking some quota of the ration, and his family who is there in his own village, they also can take the ration, right? This feature is also there. Maximum of 50% family quota only can be drawn by the migrant workers, right, in different PDS shops. And this is not yet implemented in all the states. This we have to know, right? With respect to prelims, this right now only in 17 states this is being implemented, right? Not all states came under this scheme. Still there are some states which are out of the scheme, right? That is also important because there can be a statement saying this One Nation, One Ration Card is being applicable throughout the India, right? That is wrong. Still states are coming, and update this information. If in the coming days, if any states join, it's your duty to join, add them, right? I'll also try to give you the input. And also, who issues the ration card? This also we have to know with respect to prelims. Is it the central government or the state government, right? We might get confused here also. It is the state government which issues the ration cards. The central government through Food Corporation of India only provides food to the state governments, right? The food grains, pulses, what all are required, they are provided by the central government through Food Corporation of India. However, ration cards are issued by state governments, right? So these are some prelims points we have to know. Aadhaar linked ration cards, right? Ration card holder can access any PDS shop. Interstate and intrastate portability is there. Biometric authentication is for identifying maximum of 50% quota. Only 17 states are implementing this as of now. and state governments issue the ration cards, right? These are all things we have to know with respect to this scheme for prelims. Now the second thing which we are discussing is, second topic is Atmanirbhar Bharat, right? Atmanirbhar Bharat is also in news for various reasons. So this is also important for us with respect to prelims, right? A straightforward question can come from Atmanirbhar Bharat asking you to identify the components. Which of the following are part of Atmanirbhar Bharat? And 4 options can be given, right? So broadly we have to know what all components are there and what is the overall objective of this Atmanirbhar Bharat, right? A clarity will help us in eliminating the options in the prelims. So getting into the details of this Atmanirbhar Bharat scheme, this is basically for a self-reliant India, right? Self-reliant India, as the name itself suggests, it is for self-reliant India. And this involves large-scale structural reforms. That is the second thing, right? Large-scale structural reforms are there. Structural reforms means it in infrastructure or in economy, right? Structural reforms, some basic reforms are involved in this Atmanirbhar Bharat, right? That is the second thing we have to know. Third thing, does it include import substitution? No. Atmanirbhar Bharat and import substitution are 2 different things. First of all, we have to know what is import substitution. Now, as the name itself suggests, import substitution means substituting the imports. That means increasing the tariffs on the imports so that imports become costlier and people, rather than importing, will buy the goods within the country, which are manufactured within the country. This is the strategy of import substitution. India has been following this import substitution till 1991, right? However, that was not successful, so we went to the LPG reforms. So now with this Atmanirbhar Bharat, Prime Minister is not asking for import substitution, right? He is not saying India has to close all its borders for the foreign products. That's not the thing, right? Import substitution is not a part of this Atmanirbhar Bharat. What the Prime Minister is saying is, he is saying that to develop value chains in our country, to develop competitive goods in our country, and be open to foreign trade also. That is the strategy of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Import substitution policy or isolationism is not a part of this Atmanirbhar Bharat. That we have to know, because there can be an option saying import substitution is also a component under this Atmanirbhar Bharat. We should not get confused, right? That is the second point. The third thing is, as we have discussed, supply chain development. That is the overall objective. We have many local products in our country. Local MSMEs are there, right? Using these local industries and local products, Government of India tries to create global supply chains, right? Making these local supply chains global supply chains, right? So this is not isolationism, or this is not import substitution, right? This is not protectionist policies. Our government is trying to develop the standards of our local industries to the global level. That is the third thing we have to know. And in fact, as a part of this Atmanirbhar Bharat, we are inviting the foreign countries, foreign companies also, right? That is the fourth thing. We are inviting foreign companies to manufacture in India. So this is the concept of Atmanirbhar Bharat. You should not get confused that Atmanirbhar Bharat means self-reliant India, means closing our doors to the open economy. That's not the case. Our economy is still open. We are in fact inviting the foreign companies also. However, we are saying that rather than directly taking their goods, better manufacture in our country. So ease of doing business improvement, inviting foreign companies to manufacture in India, these are also part of Atmanirbhar Bharat, right? This clarity we have to have. And also Prime Minister's vision, as a part of Prime Minister's vision, he talked about 4 L's and 5 P's, right? This is important. 4 L's and 5 P's. What are these 4 L's? Land, labor, liquidity, loss, LAWS, loss. So these are the 4 things about which Prime Minister spoke in his Atmanirbhar Bharat vision, right? Land, labor, liquidity, loss, right? So these 4 dimensions also you have to try to analyze with respect to prelims, right? For example, if you take land, land is a state subject or a unionist subject or a concurrent subject? Find it out. What about labor? What are the present labor laws? Where is the government trying to relax? Codification of labor laws is going on, right? All the labor laws, the government is trying to consolidate them into 4 laws, right? So try to focus on all these areas, right? Because land, labor, liquidity and laws, these 4 things were stressed by the Prime Minister. So these are important for us with respect to prelims, right? And next thing is getting vocal for local, right? This was also given, this phrase was also given by the Prime Minister as a part of Atmanirbhar Bharat, right? So this vocal for vocal means promoting local products to make them global, right? Promoting local products to make them global. This is not saying stop buying all the global products, right? That's not the thing with Atmanirbhar Bharat, right? And also 5 pillars, 4 L's and 5 P's, 5 pillars of economy. Prime Minister tries to focus on 5 pillars of our economy. That is, first thing is demand. He says demand is very less in our economy. So demand should be increased. That is his first focus. Second focus is demography. What is demography? Demography means the population, the people of our India, right? India has the youngest population, youngest population. Demographic dividend is there for India. That is there. Third thing is tech-driven system. That means e-governance. He spoke about technology-driven system rather than human-to-human interface system. He spoke about technology-driven system, right? Technology-driven governance. That is the third thing. The fourth thing is infrastructure. He spoke about boosting infrastructure because only with infrastructure we can have good economy. That is the fifth thing, economy, right? Overall economy. So these are 5 things focused by Prime Minister. So this Atmanirbhar Bharat is very broad vision. So these 5 pillars we have to try to focus as much as possible. Infrastructure. Are there any recent new infrastructure projects that are brought? Just try to focus in those areas, right? Inland waterways are there or any new roadways are coming. So try to focus in that dimension, right? So e-governance initiatives, any new e-governance initiatives have been brought. Any state government is coming up with any new initiative. So in this way, if you try to analyze, that would be easier for prelims, right? So this is Atmanirbhar Bharat. We'll be discussing Atmanirbhar Bharat and components of that Atmanirbhar Bharat in the coming days. Today, just I wanted to give a brief overview, right? This is not import substitution. That we have to know. Now the third topic is Arogya Setu app, right? Arogya Setu app. This is the third topic. So this Arogya Setu app is also in news so much. So this is also important for us. Now, who launched this? Which ministry launched this? This is important. Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology launched this, right? Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology launched this. We should not get confused that Arogya Setu app is related to Arogya. So option can be saying it is launched by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. That's not the case, right? It is launched by Ministry of Electronics and IT. So if we cross question ourselves and learn like this, it will be easier for you also. You won't get confused, right? So this is by Mighty Ministry, Ministry of Electronics and IT. This launched this. And who developed this? National Informatics Center. National Informatics Center developed this Arogya Setu app. So what is this Arogya Setu app? Basically, contact tracing app for COVID-19. Right? It helps people in identifying the risk of catching corona, right? Risk levels are also shown in this app. If you have seen this app, gone through this app, it tells you the risk level also surrounding your area, right? And it also helps the government to trace the COVID patients, right? So in this way, contact tracing app this is. And what is the technology it uses? It uses GPS and also it uses Bluetooth, right? Both GPS and Bluetooth, both are used by this, right? And also up to some extent, artificial intelligence algorithms are also being used in this app. So these 3 technologies are majorly being used: GPS, Bluetooth, and artificial intelligence, right? So this also we have to know. And this is basically an updated version of Corona Kavach. Even previous, prior to this Arogya Setu app, even before this Arogya Setu app, there was an app called Corona Kavach. Right? That was the first app launched. That was upgraded and this Arogya Setu app came. So this also we have to know. Now, with respect to prelims, we have to know for what sections of people this Arogya Setu app is mandatory. This is one area where we have to know. We have to just have a broad idea for what all sections of people is this mandatory. So firstly, containment zone people. For these people, it is mandatory. Second thing is all the private and public sector employees who are going to work, even for them also this was made mandatory. The third thing is government and public sector staff, right? Government and public sector staff, even for them. And fourth component is all those who have come to India by Vande Bharat flights. Vande Bharat mission flights are there, right? They are bringing people from other countries to India through airways. So even those people also mandatorily have to keep this app. And fifth one is travelers who are traveling in railways, passenger trains, right? So all these people which we have discussed now, these 5 types of people need to have this Arogya Setu app mandatorily, right? So this is not like if there is a statement saying Arogya Setu app is mandatory for all the people of India. This is not the case. Under Disaster Management Act 2005, the 5 sections of people which we have discussed, these people have to mandatorily install and follow this Arogya Setu app. So these are some points about Arogya Setu app. It is launched by Ministry of Electronics and IT, not Health and Family Welfare. It's a contact tracing app, right? It helps people in identifying risk zones, Bluetooth, GPS, artificial intelligence being used in this. National Informatics Center has developed this. This is an updated version of Corona Kavach, and it is mandatory for few sections of people which we have discussed, right? Now the fourth scheme is Soil Health Card Scheme. Soil Health Card Scheme. Now this scheme is important because this has finished 5 years of implementation. So any event which finished a fancy number, we have to try to focus on those events. Questions might come from there, may or may not come, but it is our duty to be thorough with such events also, right? Why to miss that chance? So Soil Health Card Scheme has finished 5 years of implementation, right? So in that context, we'll try to get some important points for prelims. So first, which is the ministry implementing? It's simple. It is Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, right? For what is this scheme? This scheme is for promoting better soil management practices and restoring soil health. So what do they do in the Soil Health Card Scheme? Farmer will go to this lab, and then people from there will test his soil, and after testing of the soil, they'll tell how much nutrients are there, how much more nutrients he has to add, what is the condition of the soil, does he need to take any better methods to improve soil fertility, how can he improve the production, is he putting in more nitrogen, or is he lacking in potassium? All these things will be told to the farmers, right? This is Soil Health Card Scheme. It's just like a report card given to the farmer as to how is the health of the soil, right? So a printed report will be given to the farmers. Also, the farmer can access the soil data through Soil Health Card portal also. That is also there. A portal is there, or a printed copy will also be given to the farmers. And all farmers are eligible for this Soil Health Card Scheme. That is important, right? Not only small and marginal, right? Or not only landless, but all the farmers. This is important because this is one area where they can confuse us, right? So for all farmers, this Soil Health Card Scheme is applicable, right? And this is for better soil management practices and for restoring soil health. And for how many years once is this done? This is done every 2 years once. The Soil Health Card Scheme benefits can be availed by farmer, right? So for every 2 years once, the farmer has to go and get his soil checked, right? So this is important because they can say Soil Health Card will be given to the farmer annually. That is wrong, right? For every 2 years once he will be given, right? These are some areas, and it checks 12 parameters related to the soil, right? 12 parameters. So I will just tell them in line, like you can see them later. So one is nitrogen, second one is potassium, third one phosphorus, then sulfur, zinc, iron, copper, manganese, boron. pH of the soil is also measured, and then electrical conductivity is also measured, and organic carbon is also measured, right? So organic nutrients, inorganic nutrients, and some physical parameters like pH, electrical conductivity, organic carbon are also measured, right? So broadly, if we cannot remember all the elements, broadly we have to know that not only nutrients like NPK, but other nutrients are also measured. So we must have at least that much idea. And we must also have the idea that not only elements or chemicals, but also physical parameters like pH of the soil, acidity, basicity of the soil is also measured, right? So broadly, if we know like this, we can eliminate the options, right? So these are the 12 parameters. And under this soil health card scheme, soil testing labs are also set up. Soil testing labs. The local youth in the rural villages, the local youth and the farmers together can set up soil testing labs. So under the soil health card scheme, local youth and the farmers can set up soil testing labs on their own. Government will provide 75% funding to it. So this is also useful actually, because then soil testing lab infrastructure we can improve, right? So then farmers will be having better access to soil testing labs. If they have one soil testing lab in every village, it will be better for the farmer to access them. For that, government is providing 75% funding to install soil testing labs by the local youth itself who are there in the villages, right? So these are some important things. Soil health card scheme, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare for better soil management practices and soil health. All the farmers are eligible. Printed report is given, and also a portal is also there, soil health card portal. 2 years interval soil will be checked, that is important, and 12 parameters will be checked. Not only chemical elements but also physical parameters are there, and soil testing labs also can be set up. These are some things we have to know with respect to soil health card scheme. Now the fifth scheme is Sutra PIC, SUTRA, Sutra PIC, PIC. So this scheme is also important for us. So this scheme is basically, this is about research on indigenous cows. What actually this does is, it tries to do research on our indigenous cows. That means the cows which are owned to India, right? The breed of this particular cows is of owned to India. These are not foreign brands or foreign breeds, right? So these cows will, research will be done on these cows, right? And some useful observations will be brought out. So this scheme is about research on the cows. The full form of this scheme is scientific utilization through research augmentation. Sutra means scientific utilization through research augmentation. Prime products from indigenous cows, right? This is the full form. Scientific utilization through research augmentation, prime products from indigenous cows. That means research should be done on the indigenous cows, the Indian cows, and then prime products, that means any products which are very much useful to the mankind have to be identified and they have to be produced, right? That is the overall objective of this scheme. Research and get some good products out of cow. Now, who is implementing this scheme? Who is monitoring the scheme? This is important. It is Department of Science and Technology, right? Department of Science and Technology is implementing or monitoring this scheme. It is not Ministry of Animal Husbandry and Dairy Farming, right? So these are the areas where they'll try to confuse us. It is DST, Department of Science and Technology, because this is a research oriented scheme, right? So DST is implementing it to find out the uniqueness of Indian cows, and also 5 areas they want to do research, right? Product of the cow's importance in medicine, that is the first field. Second field is importance of cow products in health, that is the second thing. Third thing is agriculture, like cow products, how effective are they, or do they have any good content that can be used in agriculture? That is the third area they are trying to do the research. Fourth one is food and nutrition, the significance of the cow products in food and nutrition. The fifth one is fuel also, right? Any cow products are there which can be used as fuel also. Actually, biogas can be made out of this cow dung, right? So in this way, in these 5 different areas, government is trying to do research and find out the uniqueness and importance of cow products, right? That is the Sutra PIC scheme. So this is about research on indigenous cows and cow products, implemented by Department of Science and Technology in 5 areas which we have discussed, right? So these are the 5 schemes for today. Now we'll get into the environment topics. So environment topics, you might be facing any wildlife sanctuary or national park or tiger reserves in the news, right? Those reserves or those national parks, you have to note them down and see if there are any significance for them. See if there are any endemic species in those reserves and remember them, right? So mostly those national parks or those wildlife sanctuaries which are in controversy because of some projects, such kind of things which are in news will be asked in the exam, right? So that is one intelligent way to remember wildlife parks, wildlife sanctuaries and national parks, right? We can't remember all the national parks and wildlife sanctuaries which are in India, right? It's very difficult. So at least by focusing on those things which are in news, that can help us up to some extent. For example, there was Etalin hydropower project in Arunachal Pradesh which was in news, right? There was a coal mining project in Assam. Assam Elephant Reserve is there. Dehing Patkai Elephant Reserve is there in Assam. That was also in news, right? In Gir National Park, limestone quarrying is being done. That is in news. That issue is in news, right? So in this way, all those reserves which are in news, we have to be thorough, right? So that is one way which I am suggesting you. So the first topic which we are taking is Convention on Migratory Species, right? Convention on Migratory Species, CMS. This is called CMS, Convention on Migratory Species, COP 13, Conference of Parties 13. So this summit, the Convention on Migratory Species Summit, this year was held in our India itself. So this is an international convention which was held in India this year. So this is very much important for us with respect to prelims, right? Not only that, this is an international convention and this was held in India, but also India took the presidency for this convention this year, right? So for the coming 3 years, India is the presidency for this Convention on Migratory Species. So in that context also, we have to know about this CMS and about this COP13 summit which was held in India thoroughly, right? So first of all, where was it held? It was held in Gandhi Nagar, India, right? It was held in Gandhi Nagar, which is in India. That is the first thing we have to know. And what is this convention about? This is Convention on Migratory Species of Wild Animals, right? Convention on Migratory Species of Wild Animals. We have some species which continuously migrate from one region to other region, right? It might be seasonal or it might be various reasons. These species usually migrate from one region to other, right? So for these migratory species, for such migratory species, this convention was brought, right? This is CMS. So is this a UNFCCC convention? No. This is a UNEP convention, United Nations Environmental Program based convention. So UNEP is also an organization, right? So this UNEP has brought this Convention on Migratory Species in the year 1979. This we have to know, right? So this was introduced or brought by UNEP. That is important for us. And this convention is also called as Bonn Convention, BONN, Bonn Convention, right? So this is also known as Bonn Convention. This is known as Bonn Convention because this was first time this convention came into force in Bonn, Germany. This is a place in Germany basically. So that's why it's called Bonn Convention also. So other names also we have to know, right? So this is a UNEP convention and Bonn Convention. And what is the theme for this year's convention of this COP13, right? That also we have to know. This year's theme is Migratory Species Connect Planet. Migratory Species Connect Planet, and together we welcome them home. And together we welcome them home. So theme is also important because previously we have seen questions where they have asked what is the theme for this year's convention, right? And especially this convention happened in India, so we must be knowing it. So the theme is Migratory Species Connect Planet, and together we welcome them home. This is the theme, right? So then what all migratory species? So this convention tries to protect and preserve terrestrial, aquatic and avian migratory species. This we have to know. Not only those on the land, but also those on the water and also in the air. Terrestrial, aquatic and avian migratory species are protected under this convention. That is important, right? So here they can confuse us. It's only for terrestrial species or it's only for terrestrial and marine species. We should not get confused, right? For all the three, this convention is there for migratory species. Then this convention for migratory species has appendix 1 and appendix 2. Appendix means a list prepared under this CMS convention for protecting migratory species, right? So appendix 1 is for threat of extinction. All those migratory species who are under the threat of extinction are kept under appendix 1. Appendix 2 is for those animals who are not still under the threat of extinction but in endangered status or in vulnerable status. Such kind of migratory species are kept in appendix 2, right? So appendix is nothing but list of animals, right? So this we have to know. And then this year Gandhi Nagar Declaration was adopted as a part of this CMS COP13 summit in Gandhi Nagar. Gandhi Nagar Declaration was adopted, right? So now we have to know that Gandhi Nagar Declaration is basically about convention on migratory species for protecting the migratory species, right? Because there can be a question which can be this way, saying Gandhi Nagar Declaration recently seen in the news is related to, and 4 options can be given. One is about migratory species, the other is about some industries. So like that 4 options will be given which will be equally convincing. So we have to know that Gandhi Nagar Declaration is related to conserving migratory species, right? If we remember this much, it will be very useful for us in prelims. So this Gandhi Nagar Declaration brought 4 to 5 interesting findings, right? First thing is this Gandhi Nagar Declaration talks about ecological connectivity, right? It talks about ecological connectivity. Ecological connectivity means as these are migratory species, as these migrate from one region to the other, they need to have corridors, right? They usually have corridors. For example, if you take elephants, they have corridors, right? So now what's happening is because of human activities, because of anthropogenic activities, habitat fragmentation is taking place, right? Habitat fragmentation, that means these corridors are being broken. We are constructing roads or infrastructure or anything. So because of this, habitat fragmentation is taking place. That is the second thing it says. And it says habitat fragmentation is the main reason or main challenge to ecological connectivity, right? So if ecological connectivity is not there, it's very difficult for the migratory species, right? It's very difficult for the species to migrate from one region to the other. So that is one issue which Gandhi Nagar Declaration recognizes. And it also, for the first time under this Gandhi Nagar Declaration, a report was made on the status of migratory species, right? Even though this convention came to existence in 1979, for the first time, a report was made on the status of migratory species, right? In this Gandhi Nagar Declaration. So that is also important for us. And that report says that numbers of migratory species are actually declining, right? Numbers of migratory species are actually declining, right? This is one finding out of this Gandhi Nagar Declaration. And the other interesting thing which this Gandhi Nagar Declaration talks about is not only preserving and protecting animals, but also preserving and protecting animal culture, right? This is important. It introduced a new term called preserving and protecting animal culture. Now we know what is preserving and conserving animals. What is animal culture? Animal culture means just like how we humans have culture, animals also have culture. If that culture is missing in the animals, then it will be very difficult for those animals to survive, right? So survival skills are passed from one generation of the animals to the other generation of animals through this animal culture, right? If this animal culture is missing, Like because some animals are dying, because of some species are getting endangered, their numbers are decreasing. If this animal culture doesn't get passed from one generation to other generation, the new generation of animals will be facing so much difficulty, right? They will be facing difficulty as to how to adapt to the new environment, right? How to migrate, what migratory routes they have to take, what corridors they have to go, how to survive in summer. All this comes under animal culture. So not only protecting animals, but also protecting this animal culture is also important. It will be very useful for the animals for identifying migratory routes and for their survival skills, right? So animal culture also should be preserved. That's what this Gandhi Nagar declaration says. So these are some important points about CMS COP13, Convention on Migratory Species, COP13, right? So this is a UNEP led convention. This is also known as Bonn Convention. This happened in Gandhinagar, India. This is the 13th summit. That's why it's COP13. Theme is migratory species connect planet, and together we welcome them home. Not only terrestrial but also aquatic and avian migratory species also involved. It has two appendices. Gandhinagar Declaration was adopted. It talks about ecological connectivity. It talks about habitat fragmentation, right? And it says the numbers are declining, migratory species. And it also says animal culture also has to be protected, right? So these are overall points about CMS COP13. Ultra mega renewable energy parks. So these renewable energy parks are also in more number. The government is trying to set them up, right? Because we are trying to shift towards a clean fuel driven economy, right? We are trying to shift to a clean fuel driven economy. That's where renewable energy is getting more and more focus by the government. As a part of that, this ultra mega renewable energy parks are being set up. Now, which ministry is implementing these parks, or which ministry is setting up these parks? It is the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, right? So this is one area where we can get confused. So here they can confuse us by saying this renewable energy parks are being implemented by MOEFCC, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. That's not the case, right? These parks are being set up under Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, right? There is another ministry called New and Renewable Energy. So that is taking care of this renewable energy parks. That is the first thing. Second thing, under this ultra mega renewable energy parks, two ultra mega renewable energy parks are being set up in India. Two parks, one in Gujarat and the other in Rajasthan, right? So two ultra mega renewable energy parks are being set up. One in Gujarat and the second in Rajasthan. Together combined 50 gigawatts capacity, right? If we see the present status, present installed capacity of solar energy, it is only 34 gigawatts. Now just by this two mega renewable energy parks, government is installing 50 gigawatts. So they are really very huge, right? That's why they are ultra mega renewable energy parks. So one in Khavada district in Gujarat and the other in Jaisalmer district in Rajasthan. So in these two places, 50 gigawatts capacity of ultra mega renewable energy parks are being set up. So what kind of projects will be there? Solar will be there, wind will be there, solar wind hybrid also will be there, right? All the three types of projects, renewable energy projects will be there as a part of this ultra mega renewable energy parks, right? Solar, wind and hybrid projects also. Also storage and transmission infrastructure also is included in this ultra mega renewable energy park, right? Land clearances, environmental clearances, all these will be easily given now for these parks, so that solar energy, wind energy can be increased, right? So this is everything about ultra mega renewable energy parks. Now if we get into the numbers and some targets kept by the government said that it wants to install 175 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2022, right? This is one important thing, 175 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2022, right? Now the government has revised, the government has changed this target to 450 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2030. 450 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2030. This is the new target now, right? And also, if we go for what are the contributions, the present solar installed capacity is 34 gigawatts. 34 gigawatts. And wind is 38 gigawatts. Right? Both are in 30s only. But our target is 450 gigawatts by 2030. Right? So to achieve this, these ultra mega renewable energy parks kind of projects are very much important. If we have gone through the newspapers today, even yesterday Prime Minister has given a statement saying solar energy is very much important for Atmanirbhar Bharat, right? So that is, so in those such kind of statements only we can see the importance given to various issues, and those issues we have to try to learn about them as much as possible, right? He has opened a solar energy park in Rewa district of Madhya Pradesh yesterday, right? So we have to follow those also as a part of this, right? So this is about ultra mega renewable energy parks. And now we will talk about fly ash, right? So this fly ash was also news from 2 to 3 years, right? From 2 to 3 years, this fly ash is in news. And recently also, National Green Tribunal has given a judgment or a verdict asking the thermal power plants, coal-based thermal power plants, to dispose this fly ash properly. Right? They are not disposing this fly ash properly. So NGT has given a verdict asking them to dispose properly. So then what is fly ash? Fly ash is basically a fine powder. Fine powder which is a byproduct of coal-based thermal power plants. Right? It is a byproduct of coal-based thermal power plants. So coal is basically used for meeting 55 to 60% of our energy needs. Right? This we know. For electricity needs, 55 to 60% of our energy needs we are getting from coal-based thermal power plants, right? So then as we are using more and more coal for the thermal power plants, fly ash is increasing. The byproduct fly ash is increased. Production of this fly ash is increasing, right? Because of this, there are some environmental implications. Now, which is the organization that has to monitor this fly ash and set standards? It is the CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board. Central Pollution Control Board is responsible for monitoring and imposing fines on those industries or plants which are not disposing fly ash properly, right? It is the CPCB, right? And why is fly ash so much in India only? Because Indian coal has very much high ash content. Indian coal, the variety of Indian coal has high ash content in it. Almost 30 to 45% of ash content is there in Indian coal, because of which fly ash as a byproduct is increasing, is more produced, right? So that reason we have to know, because there can be an option saying Indian coal has very less amount of ash content. That's wrong, right? Even in terms of moisture content, even in terms of ash content, Indian coal has high amounts of ash content and also moisture content, right? That we have to know. So because of high ash content in the coal, fly ash is also more, and this is having environmental implications, right? So this is important. And now, as of now, how is this fly ash disposed? It is disposed in two ways. Firstly, dry fly ash disposal. That means fly ash is simply dumped. It is simply dumped in containers and left like that, right? That is one way how the thermal power plants are doing. Second is wet fly ash. As this fly ash is fine powder, it is mixed with water and made as a slurry. That means a mixture of water and this fly ash is made, and then it is drained into the ponds and water bodies. So this is also not correct. Because of these two things, environmental implications are there, right? So that's why Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change has suggested some areas where we can reuse this fly ash. Because this fly ash is a waste product, thermal power plants are simply throwing them away. Rather than doing that, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change suggests 3 areas where we can productively use this fly ash. The first area is agriculture. Yes, fly ash can be used in agriculture. It improves water holding capacity of the soil. That is the first advantage. And also this fly ash has many micronutrients, right? This fly ash has many micronutrients also. So because of these two reasons, MOEFCC suggests fly ash to be used in agriculture. The second thing is construction works. In construction works also fly ash can be used, especially in cement and bricks manufacturing. In these areas also fly ash can be used, right? And in fact, the concrete which is used for building materials, the concrete made of this fly ash is in fact more durable, right? It is more durable. So fly ash can be used in cement and brick manufacturing also, in construction works. Third area is manufacturing of absorbents, right? Manufacturing of absorbents. Absorbent means something which absorbs. So we can use this fly ash as an absorbent to clean waste gases and wastewater. Before discharging them, we can use this fly ash to clean the waste gases and the wastewater up to some extent, right? So this advantage is also there. So this is overall about fly ash. So this was in news because of the NGT verdict, National Green Tribunal's verdict. And this is a byproduct out of coal-based thermal power plants. This has huge negative repercussions on the environment. CPCB is responsible for monitoring and imposing fines. Indian coal has very much high ash content, in fact 30 to 45%. That's why we have this high fly ash problem. So as of now, they are simply dumping this dry fly ash or making it wet and discharging into ponds. Rather than that, MOEFCC has suggested fly ash to be used as a water holding capacity and micronutrient in agriculture, in cement and bricks manufacturing, as a part of construction works, and also as an absorbent to purify waste gases and wastewater, right? So all this is there. And ash track portal was also set up by government. Ash track portal. Now what for is this ash track portal? So this portal is for connecting this fly ash producers and the fly ash consumers, right? So all those who want this fly ash can get access to it through this ash track portal. They can know where this fly ash source is, right? So for that reason, this ash track portal is made to connect the fly ash producers and the fly ash consumers, right? So this is about fly ash. And the fourth topic is Pakke Tiger Reserve, right? Pakke, it's also known as Pakwe, P-A-K-K-E, right? Pakke. So this Pakke Tiger Reserve, or it's also known as Pakui, P-A-K-H-U-I, right? So Pakke or Pakui Tiger Reserve, this is located in Arunachal Pradesh. This is a tiger reserve located in Arunachal Pradesh. This was in news because Arunachal Pradesh government has started to construct east-west industrial corridor, right? It has started to construct east-west industrial corridor, which is passing through this Pakwe Tiger Reserve. So that's why this Pakwe Tiger Reserve was in the news. So we have to know that this is located in Arunachal Pradesh, right? And east-west industrial corridor is passing through it. That's why this is in controversy, right? And also, as this is a tiger reserve, we have to know the IUCN status of tiger. The IUCN status of Bengal tiger is endangered. Endangered, right? So the tiger's IUCN status is endangered. That also we have to know. And now what is happening because of constructing such a corridor through a tiger reserve? Habitat fragmentation is happening. This word is important. Habitat fragmentation. And man-animal conflict is happening. Man-animal conflict means humans and wild animals coming into contact because we have constructed some projects in their homes. So they are deprived of their homes, which is habitat fragmentation, because of which we are coming into contact with wild animals. That is man-animal conflict, right? So these two words we have to briefly know what are they. Now, which is the authority that is responsible for granting approval for such projects? This also we have to know, right? So if there is an issue saying East-West Industrial Corridor passing through Pakke Tiger Reserve, so we should not just simply take that news and leave it. We have to try to analyze this way. What is the major animal there? What is the IUCN status there? Right? Where is it located? Is there any river passing through it? All this we have to know, and also because this was in controversy because of a project being set up there, we have to know which authority gives approval for projects in such tiger reserves. It is National Board for Wildlife, NBWL, National Board for Wildlife. This is the organization that grants approval for projects in wildlife sanctuaries, national parks and tiger reserves, right? So this National Board for Wildlife is a statutory body under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And Prime Minister is the chairman for this National Board of Wildlife, right? Prime Minister is the chairman for this National Board of Wildlife, and this National Board for Wildlife is a statutory body under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, right? So this is about Pakke Tiger Reserve. And the last topic for today is arsenic contamination and uranium contamination in the groundwater. Arsenic contamination and uranium contamination in the groundwater, right? Now we know groundwater is a major source of water for drinking supply. However, because of over exploitation of groundwater, arsenic and uranium concentrations are increasing in the groundwater. How is this happening? Because arsenic and uranium, they naturally occur beneath the earth's surface, right? So because we are extracting more and more groundwater, the concentration of arsenic and uranium is increasing in the groundwater, right? We are digging deep and extracting the groundwater. So arsenic and uranium concentrations in the groundwater are also increasing, right? So this has a huge health implications, right? So now one trend which we have to know with respect to arsenic and uranium contamination is which states are mostly affected because of this. That we have to know, right? The Ganga basin states, all the states which belong to the Ganga basin, that is UP, Bihar, Bengal, these are the states that are hugely affected because of this arsenic contamination and uranium contamination. Especially UP, Uttar Pradesh and Bihar are severely affected because of this arsenic and uranium contamination, right? So that we have to know. And other thing we have to know is this arsenic and uranium contamination, what can be the reasons? Not only anthropogenic activities, but also natural activities. Both the things can contribute to arsenic and uranium contamination of water, right? So there can be an option saying arsenic or uranium contamination happens due to anthropogenic activities only, due to human-made activities only. That's wrong, right? Because of natural activities also, arsenic and uranium gets into the water. But however, it will be in small quantities. Now, because of human activities, the concentration of uranium and arsenic is actually increasing in the groundwater, right? So because of natural and anthropogenic activities, contamination happens. So then what is the major chance by which this can affect the humans? It is through bioaccumulation and biomagnification. These two terms are also important. Simply saying, as we extract this groundwater, it comes to the soil surface, right? We are using this groundwater for agriculture. So it gets into the food chain, the arsenic, uranium, these contaminants, they get into the food chain. We consume that food. So it gets into us. This is called biomagnification, right? Arsenic concentration is increasing as we go to higher levels of food chain, right? So this is called biomagnification. What is bioaccumulation? Bioaccumulation means a foreign chemical entering into an organism. That is called bioaccumulation, right? So bioaccumulation and biomagnification, these two things are the ways by which arsenic and uranium are affecting humans also. So bioaccumulation means just simply the chemical entering the organism. Biomagnification means concentration of the chemical increasing as we go from lower levels of food chain to higher levels of food chain. These two terms also we have to be thorough. And what are some diseases that we get because of uranium and arsenic? Because of uranium, we get chronic kidney disease, thyroid cancer, and blood cancer. These are the three major things which we get because of uranium: chronic kidney disease, thyroid cancer, and blood cancer. For arsenic, we get kidney, lung cancers, and reproductive disorders. So simply for these kind of heavy metal chemicals, usually one common thing is cancers, right? So that we have to keep in our mind, and accordingly, if we are able to remember, we can remember that for uranium also, thyroid cancer, blood cancer are possible. For arsenic, kidney and lung cancers and reproductive disorders. So this is about arsenic and uranium contamination. Overexploitation of groundwater is the major reason. Ganga basin states are majorly impacted, especially UP and Bihar. So this happens because of both natural and anthropogenic activities. Bioaccumulation and biomagnification, these are the two terms because of which arsenic and uranium contamination is increasing, and some diseases which we get because of uranium and arsenic. This also we have discussed. Now, which is the organization that sets standards for drinking water? That is BIS, Bureau of Indian Standards, right? So this actually sets the standards, how much arsenic is supposed to be there, what is the maximum permissible level of arsenic. So BIS sets these targets.